I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Jonny Smith.
And this is On the Other Side of Things, the Smith & Sniff spin-off in which we answer your questions. Hi guys, here we are answering your questions on a Friday morning.
Hi.
I'd like to kick off with a question from a listener called Connor Fliss. Connor is the chap who did the amazing harmony guitar part at the end of our outro music on the main podcast. Oh. The bit that sounds, for want of a better description, a bit like The Darkness.
Very cool.
The band, not the phenomenon of no lights. And
we never asked him if he had leather bootcut trousers when he was performing that incredible act.
I don't think you can play guitar without wearing them to that standard, because Connor is an incredible guitarist and he did a bang-up job on that. He is also, having met him several times at live shows, a full house SSG. So, brilliant. But Connor's asked us a question. He says, "Good day, you pair of absolute HKS 2.8 strokers." I'm seeking counsel on finding a new car. 3 years ago, I bought a 2008 Civic Type R, the FN2 to Honda Geeks.
Yeah.
In that time, I've done an awful lot of driving, often boring motorway miles for gigs, and it's turned from a rather sweet example of the mark into an okay condition but slightly leggier example with 138,000 miles on it. No major issues, but a few jobs that need doing. Once that's sorted, I think it's worth about $3,500.
God, that is not a motorway car either.
No, a bit busy.
For gearing and suspension.
Yeah, so Connor says, I feel it'd be more prudent to sell once it's up to scratch. I'd rather get rid of it while it's still worth anything at all and run it into the ground. I've enjoyed having it. The FN2 gets a bad rap, but it's good fun, practical, and has a fantastic engine and gearbox.
It does.
However, being 30 come April, I'm getting old. Oh, you sweet child, Connor. I'll show you old.
Sweet child of mine.
Sweet child of mine.
You might know the guitar work in such a song.
Connor claims he's getting old at 30. I want something more comfortable for the dog shit road surfaces I find myself using. The FN2 rides like a skateboard and it does my head in. Yeah. So here are my stipulations. 1, must be petrol. I do a lot of miles, about 15 to 20,000 a year, but town driving, including Leith here, London, is part of that. So ULEZ compliance is a must.
Right.
2, would prefer a manual gearbox. 3, don't mind if it's over 100,000 miles because budget is not big, but want something hard-wearing that's easy to keep running. Probably be a car I'll own and run for as long as possible. 4, must be big enough for people and things, and by things I usually mean guitar gear, which might include large speaker cabinets. 5, don't want to spend more than $2,500. In theory, leaves some financial headroom that could bag me a cheap, fun, open-top second car, but that's for another day. So, being a 2000s Honda loyalist, the 2 cars I'm most strongly considering for cheap, tough, but comfy-ish daily duties are an Accord Estate and a second-generation CR-V. Both appear to be easily found within the budget. The Accord has always appealed, but my dislike for small SUV-type cars has been tested by the inexplicable charm of the 2000s CR-V, which no one online seems to have a bad word for.
Well, they also don't go wrong.
Well, maybe that's part of it.
Part of the charm.
So Connor finishes by saying, my only concern is that the 2-litre petrol might be sluggish and or thirsty, more so than the same K20 engine you get in the Accord. Are either or both of these cars a good bet for my criteria? Is there anything else I'm missing? Love the idea of a Subaru Forester, but good ones are hard to find within my budget.
Well, the Accord of that era, we've talked about them loads of times, with that completely chopped off back, which is really practical, but also I think looks a bit funky. I love those cars. Can't remember particularly that engine output or economy. They did do a rapid diesel, didn't they? Was it a CDT?
They did, but yeah, Connor's saying no dieseling because of ULEZ.
No dieseling, sir. Dieseling, we've all done it. We've all dieseled.
So, yeah, now my only thought, it feels pointless to go outside of the Honda universe, the Honda cinematic universe, but what about an HR-V? Would that be something? Because it's probably a little more dynamic and slightly smaller, but still maybe enough room.
Yeah, that's interesting.
An old school HR-V. I'm just on the Trader.
We talked about them because I saw one when I was on holiday last year.
Oh, yes.
In a seaside in a seaside town driven by a tan man. Do you remember? And it was
Sounds like a Morrissey. In a seaside town driven by a tan man. HRV, HRV.
It's really boxy as well, that HRV, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Joy Machine. Yeah, can't remember the engine and transmission combos on those.
Well,
It's been too long ago.
there's one here. This is the 3-door. There was a 5-door, wasn't there? Which probably maybe more up Connor Street for boot space reasons. But the 3-door is quite a funky thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about the original HRV. That they are a bit old now. That's the only thing.
It's like a RAV4 rival.
Yeah. Oh, actually.
Oh.
So, are the right kind of RAV4 now? What would the right kind of RAV4 be? I don't know. But anyway.
I mean, Gen 1 RAV4s are climbing in value. They're on the cusp of, it's the 90s celebration.
Yeah.
And they had things like patterned fabric interiors, which a lot of people are now gravitating
Yes,
towards.
very pastel interiors.
Yeah.
Some of those god-awful swirly 3-spoke wheels.
Yeah.
You would be king of the Festival of the Unexceptional in one of those, a tidy 3-door.
You'd be the sultan of Futu.
The sultan of this summer. There is a very tidy-looking private sale green 3-door HRV on Auto Trader at the moment. It's got 88,000 miles on it, which is low because it's 2002. 1.6, and it's 1995, £2,000.
Okay, so that's well within the budget.
Yeah, no, I don't know whether it might be a bit old. Also, with that, actually, maybe that wouldn't be ULEZ compliant because it's only Euro 3 according to this, so that might not be any good. Sorry, that's a useless suggestion.
The only car that I'm thinking of as well that's an estate but really fashionable looking, and I think it's just a modern classic, stone cold modern classic, Alpha 156 Sport Wagon.
Oh, didn't see that coming.
Because you can get the twin spark petrol, you can get it in a Manuel gearbox, and I know that they do go wrong.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. He might miss the Honda-iness.
I can picture Connor on the side of a motorway at 1 a.m, leather boot cuts,
Yeah.
getting dappled with rain, hazards going as the Alpha has let him down on the way back from a gig.
But dappled with rain, maybe a little bit of uplighting. I can see a music
He
video
could
here.
stand on top of the Alpha and do a squealing solo while he waits for the RAC.
Is that like November Rain off of
Yeah,
Slash
yeah.
with the solo,
Yeah,
where he
yeah,
almost
yeah.
bows back onto his own legs?
Yes, it looks like in Spinal Tap, a roadie's going to have to come on and help him up again.
Someone needs a bottle jack to bottle jack you back up when you're mid solo. Get him up. He's got cramps.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tricky. I mean, that's interesting though. He says that the CRV, you won't find a bad word said against them.
Can you get a? I'm rattling through the alphabet of car brands to think if there's anything else that we have totally disregarded, which we probably have.
I feel like every time people ask us to recommend a car, we somehow circle around at some point to Mazdas.
Yeah.
Because they're probably quite reliable and they're nice to drive.
Mazda 6
Wagon.
Sport or
Yeah.
MPS.
Oh,
I told you about the one
jeez.
I found in an Asda car park quite recently in Wales. The chap
Mazda in an Asda.
Yeah, honestly, Asda Mazda. The guy, I should remember the guy's name because he was staring at me while I was at the checkout in a way where I was like, this guy's being a bit sinister. Anyway, I tried to ignore it. And as I walked out of the Asda, he came over to me and went, I'm really sorry for asking, but you're Johnny Smith from Fifth Gear. I used to watch you when I was younger. And I'm like, oh, thanks. He goes, I know you're busy, but can I just take you into the corner of the car park and show you my Mazda?
Smash you with a wrench.
And he put a bin liner over your head and put you in a transit van. No, he showed me this Mazda 6 Spokes.
Yeah.
It was running 500 wheel horsepower.
What?
He'd gone through this. I took pictures of it. I never put it on social media. He has gone to town on this car. Spent a fortune on it, doing it all himself.
Wow.
Water injection, like crazy power and grip. And he takes it around on Anglesey circuit on track days. This is his only car.
They're four-wheel drive, aren't they? So
Four-wheel drive.
That sounds manageable.
And
yeah.
he said to me, he said, I beat all the Audi RSs and things on a third of the budget. And he said it's a really reliable car. I'm like, fair dues.
Yeah, Mazda 6. I just looked at Mazda 6 petrol estates. There are some. There's sort of like 6 up here, but 2 of them are looks like second-gen cars. I don't know. Again, maybe a bit too old / oh no, hang on. Look, there's one here. 2.5 Sport. It's Euro 5, so that'd be all right. And it's
Hey guys, I'm Euro 5.
It's leggy. 181,000 miles.
That's a lot.
I don't know. What do you think? Accord or CRV? If we go back to the original dilemma.
Oh, that's the Accord man, and he's saying vote for me, and that I would have to go for that shape of Accord.
I feel like I would as well. It'd just be a little bit nicer to drive, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm fascinated by the fact that there's clearly CRV loyalists are an incredible band of people.
Also, if you're going to do that Accord, all I would say is if the power seems to be a little bit disappointing off the back of your FN2 Civic Type R, which is the best shape Type R, I'm sorry, I will die on this hill. Despite the fact I broke one for its engine and gearbox for the Allegro. You can probably map one, and you could probably do some cheeky induction exhaust work.
Yes.
To bring up both economy and power, which is something I would look into.
Okay, well, I think so. Connor, I think we're erring towards Accord. We've tried to come up with a better suggestion and fallen a bit flat because maybe there just isn't one.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that.
Well, can I just fly into another question?
Yes.
Off of a guy called Julian Hale. Guys, I've recently developed a craving for a Citroen Saxo VTS. Or a 106 106 GTI. This has prompted me to wonder what car you would have bought if you were a 20-something-year-old in the Max Power era looking to impress your mates with your cool car. You've got £15,000 to spend, which is enough for a brand new Saxo VTS at the time, and some mods. Or you can go ahead down a different route and buy something from the used market. CMTMB, Julia.
So... It's the Max Power era, so what would you say is the peak year for Max Power?
Almost the millennium.
Okay, so should we say 2000?
Let's say 2000.
I've got some quite curved sunglasses with orangey tints. They're not runner's glasses, they are a member of All Saints left them on a bus and I found them kind of sunglasses. I might have I got frosted tips in my hair? I might have.
Slightly embarrassingly, I am dressed like I'm pretending to be someone in Blink 182. But but ultimately from the West Country.
Okay. This is not how I dressed in 2000, by the way, but this is how if I'm going really embracing 2000s-ness. I was 25 in 2000, so I would have been
what was I? I was 21.
So...
Yeah, I was 21. And I was dressed like that.
Thousands. I mean, 106 GTI is hard to resist, even though I struggled to fit in. I could fit in there. 106 Rally, S2 Rally.
Yeah.
Was that still on sale at that point? I think it was.
Yeah, so you're looking to impress your friends and it during the Max Power era. So in 2000, things like Astra GTEs were probably a little bit old hat.
Yeah.
I thought about a 306 Rally. Or no, GTI 6.
Yes. Oh God, yeah.
Because
because you get one for 15. What were they around then? They're a bit above that.
I don't know.
I sort of have this feeling they were like 17 or 18, but I may be imagining that.
Well, you'd get one that was 2 years old, or
have you got to go brand new?
It says you got it. No, it didn't actually. It says impress your mates with a cool car. You've got 15 grand to spend, which is enough for a new Saxo VTS and some mods. Or you can go ahead down a different route and buy something from the used market.
Oh, so then I've got to mod it, because that's really the only way you're going to impress full Max Power.
Yeah, which is the obvious way is suspension and wheels, or in-car audio, ICE.
Wait. I'm all over the shop on the money here. I may be way out of line, but... In 2000, could you have imported an R32 Skyline?
Yeah.
For that money?
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm doing.
You can get a GTR for that money.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd settle for a GTS or GTT or something, just because they still look quite cool. But I think a GTR,
And you would have been slightly ahead of the Fast and Furious curve, because that came out in 01.
That's the thing. But it's got novelty value,
Yeah.
but I think it's highly credible.
Yeah.
It already looks a bit sort of maxi anyway.
Yeah. You dig Twitcher. That's a great idea.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, damn.
And then I'm going straight off to have my tips frosted again.
Actually, I don't know price-wise, but I remember that around that era, it was the first time I got to experience this Subaru Impreza WRX.
Oh, titties.
Which was classic shape as we now know it.
Could you? Yeah. Damn.
So I couldn't buy one new, but I might be able to get like a 1997 model.
Yeah.
And then I would put it on some those Speedline.
Yes.
I put it on some Speedlines.
Gold?
Of course.
Of course.
Because you actually get your face punched if you don't.
Yes. Excuse me. You get arrested.
No, 555 crew come round and they give you a shoeing.
Yeah.
They do. Malcolm Wilson.
They make you smoke their cigarettes endlessly.
Malcolm Wilson is tapping a bat into his hand outside your door.
Malcolm Wilson?
Oh, no, sorry, not Malcolm Wilson. Dave
Richards?
Pro Drive Dave.
Dave Richards.
Yeah, Dave Richards.
Dave Richards.
He's tapping a bat into his hand.
Yeah.
And you open the door and go, oh, hi. He goes, you know why we're here.
I'm going to turn my back.
Yeah.
And when I turn around again, those wheels better be fucking gold. Okay, I mean, I think we've come on strong, but JDM strong.
Yeah, do you know what, though? It makes you realise that, A, the year 2000 was a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
Embarrassing.
I mean, it was quarter of a century ago.
Which is terrible.
Yeah.
But B, the thirst for those sorts of cars, and maybe it's our age, I don't know, but I think it's a lot of younger people too. I didn't know it at the time, but that 2000 to maybe 2008, 09 was such a good era for cars. Such a good era.
Yeah.
Really, really good. That combination of physical size, power output, and sensible infotainment that wasn't just daft, like actual knobs on dash.
True. It was a different time.
I know, different times.
I mean, the problem is we're talking about this with this lovely wistful nostalgia of a headier time from 25 years ago. This is the equivalent of certainly when I was 25, someone going, it's 1975.
I know.
What car are you having?
Yeah.
Although a car nerdy WhatsApp group that I'm in, someone started post the car you'd have from the year you were born, like as in a car that was launched the year you were born.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about that before, haven't we? I want to say we have. If we haven't, can you write into Otosot? You
write into my own show?
Yeah, just put your mate's name.
I mean, the thing is, certainly in this group, I very quickly alighted on what I was having.
Well, I know that the S-Class was launched the year I was born.
Yeah,
and the
G6, yeah.
And the motor show Audi Quattro, UR Quattro, 79 Frankfurt, was it? Or 79 Geneva?
I feel like it was 80 Geneva, but I don't know for sure.
I want to say it was 79 and then it launched in 80. As in went on sale in 80. Those would be my two cars. S-Class W126.
I mean,
and then I'd have my weekend car, the Quattro, and it wouldn't be red, please. It would be anything but red.
Really?
Yeah, because every time I find one that's in the right condition at the right money, it's red, and I just don't want to own a red car. I don't like red cars. Sorry, anyone that loves red cars, I just don't like them. They annoy me.
Anyway, I get Jag XJS.
Oh, jingle.
I mean, I could have Austin Princess, but I think I'm going to the XJS.
Are you going full yellow colour?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Because it's got to be a 75 launch car, so...
Yeah. Kent wheels?
Kent wheels, the yellow, and I think... it's got that black panel between the taillights that early XJSs had.
I like them.
And those excellent... A black leather interior, but there's no wood in those early ones as well. A silver dashboard. It looked like sort of high-end hi-fi, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Really stylish in retrospect, but then with that very wispy gear selector. Well, see, I'd have the manual.
Yeah, you'd have...
the manual, why not?
Go for a manual. Would you walk into the dealership with clearly massively flammable bell-bottoms on, but also smoking a very long fag?
I think I would, yeah.
When I say long, for the purposes of this podcast, I'm saying 8 inches long.
Yeah.
So long that everybody stares at it, goes, "That's actually a real cigarette."
Yeah.
What is that?
So he's stolen
Is it a white
visually
pencil?
impaired man's cane. No,
Yeah.
it's a cigarette. It's just a
Is
very
a stick
long...
of rock from a seaside town? No, it's a lit cigarette.
Going water divining. No, it's cigarettes. Okay, well, there we go. I can't remember where we were. Oh, yes, Max Power. I think we've sorted that one, haven't we? That's pretty good. Oh my gosh. Rob Wynn, who's in Bristol apparently, says, "Hello, you absolute porn twits."
How has he managed to email us in Bristol?
He must have had to drive to another city where they've heard of the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, they've heard of it in Bristol, but it's very much they've heard a rumour that it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
So Rob says, I recently saw news from a few years ago that in Italy they are using Lamborghini Huracans to deliver organs for transplant very long distances instead of flying them by helicopter. The cars are fitted with coolers in the luggage compartments and are presumably driven by proper helmsmen. According to the article, they are averaging over 140 miles an hour.
Averaging?
Yeah, averaging. That's chunky, isn't it? My question is, if you were a co-driver delivering organs long distance in the UK, what would your car be and who would you want to be doing the driving? You have a £5,000 budget, brackets modifications to carry organs not included, and the driver can be from any motorsport discipline. Bear in mind that you may end up having to soil yourself in front of this person, as pit stops are strictly forbidden to ensure that little Timmy gets his kidney on time.
Wow. Okay.
£5,000. So the Italians get Lamborghini Huracans, but somehow in this world, I suppose, yeah, NHS cutbacks. £5,000 budget. So, gosh.
5? Yeah, that's not a lot, is it? I mean, you wouldn't even get one wheel for a Huracan for that.
No. So we want speed, but also reliability.
Yeah, has to be.
It doesn't have to be spacious as long because, organs aren't that big, as long as you can put a fridge compartment somewhere.
So the cliche within me says I'd go Boxster.
Oh.
Because you don't need outright horsepower in the UK. You need agility on the terrible roads, and it needs to thread itself
that is a good
through
thought.
Towns and villages.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got a massive boot at the front, which is at the cool end of the car.
Another plus point, yes.
Yeah, and they are comfortable. So although they're a sporty car, they're a comfortable car.
Yeah.
At the helm, I might use rallycross guy Andreas Bakkerud, because Norwegian, sweet guy.
Yeah.
Fearless.
Okay. Yes.
I think I've seen it. He can pretty much drive anything on the limit, and he's constantly smiling.
Oh.
So I think he'd be good chat on the limit. And if he was a bit busy, I'd get Tiff, because he's Tiff.
I like a Scandinavian rallycross driver is a good thought, because also, what if you have an emergency organ delivery in the depths of winter? It's snowed.
Yeah.
He won't be phased.
No, and we forgot to put winters on it because we're just rubbish NHS people.
He would just dance that car across, then he would get the organ to the hospital.
He'd be giggling. He'd be giggling and chatting about coffee, or I don't know, a sort of high energy dance track that came out that morning.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Also, his fondness, which we're imagining now, for high energy dance would really set the tone for high speed driving for a very worthwhile cause.
I've met Andreas before. He's a really lovely bloke. So that would be my choice.
I can't better that. I think the Boxster's a really good thought for £5,000. I mean, what about if you bought a £4,000 Boxster and spent £1,000 having it done up?
It would be £1,000 on suspension.
Yeah, and just make sure the engine's working nicely.
Well, that's key. Also, no water in it is better.
Hey, what about also? Would you want to have? You remember how the Dutch police, when they had 911 cabrios, but they had to have the lights either fitted to the windscreen rail, or did they sometimes have a hoop, or they'd have the Targa?
It was the Targa, wasn't it? They used the. Did it follow the Targa hoop at the back?
I think it might have done.
So you could stand up and face backwards, or
I'm thinking that there's some kind of mod you need to do for your Boxster that is that. So you've got lights. You want flashing lights, don't you?
Yeah. That's a really good call.
Although I notice a lot of unmarked police cars now.
Yeah.
They have blue flashers in the headlights.
Yeah.
Or in the grille. And then they have them in the top corners of the windscreen.
Oh, do they? Because they're higher on the eye line.
But I'm thinking that's maybe they do it in, what did I see the other day? Oh, a Cupra, I think I saw a Cupra Tormentor, I was called, that had that. But it's quite a tallish car and tallish windscreen.
Yeah.
The more raked low windscreen of the Boxster, the lights might be sort of in your driver's peripheral or in complete vision. So
if I was bulk shipping organs,
yes,
I'm just going to finish this one by saying
this doesn't feel so worthy.
How much can you get a Zafira VXR for? Because they were fast and with a naughty map, they are going some.
A naughty map.
I think a naughty map and some sticky Toyos, not in winter.
No, you might have to have a winter set.
I think you could scrabble your way anywhere in an emergency with one of those, with some decent emergency lights and a PA system just to tell everyone to just get out.
Get out of the way. Yeah. I do a very
probably have a nitrous kit on it, so you could sneeze out a little bit of nitrous out of the grill.
Right, we're going to have to do some bargaining.
I don't mind.
For
we haggle
£5,750 as an Arden Blue, that classic VXR colour. Arden Blue Zafira VXR, not modified, 93,000 miles, 2007 car. Boom.
Sounds fantastic.
And the blue is good because people will see it coming even if the lights aren't going.
I love the blue. The blue
is the right colour for that car, isn't it? There's also a black one for £6,000, but I feel like the blue one is just better. Yeah. Okay, well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
We've sorted that one out. No problem at all.
So, look, chap called Ian Patrick. Hi, you absolute clevis pins. Which we did mention. Off the back of this week's Smith and Sniff and the chat about Buick GNXs.
Yes.
Are there any cars you know of that had considerably more pokes than the manufacturer let on? Beyond that, do you know of cars that are hiding their true ability behind emissions regulations, etc., etc.? It seems a simple Revo map, for example, can unleash a whole load of horses from the likes of a VAG 2-litre TSI.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye. Ian. Good question, Ian.
I mean, I would say almost all cars could probably do more for the emissions regs.
Yeah.
Also, it's not as simple as that. There's quite often, particularly with boosted cars, what limits them as well is gearboxes and things.
Yeah, clutches and the warranty behind that.
Exactly, it's the warranty, isn't it? Because there was a what was it? But there was certainly one car that I'm aware of. They did a sort of higher powered limited edition flagship one.
Yeah.
And an engineer told me that part of the reason it was a limited edition was that it had taken the gearbox over what was considered to be the sort of safe threshold. It wasn't going to explode. It was just beyond what they defined as nice and safe for the warranty. And they sort of took a business decision that if there were warranty claims against people launching the gearboxes, they were only doing like 200 of them or something, so they could probably cope with it.
Right.
And it wouldn't torch their reputation or cost them a fortune, but they wouldn't make it a serious production car because it exposed the warranty department to more risk than they were prepared to take. It's things like that, really sort of boring technical stuff, but that's often the reason.
Yeah, well, I dig it.
Cars though that make more power.
The Japanese car industry had this agreement, didn't they?
276, yeah.
Was it in the 90s?
Yeah, or 280 PS it was, wasn't it? Yes.
So we know that there's a whole list of cars that put out more horses.
Yeah, I think the GTRs and Impreza Turbos and Evos were all...
RX-7 probably, I don't know.
Yeah. It was amazing, wasn't it? They're like, how much they got? 280 PS. Has it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about that rival model? Have they got 200? Yeah.
Yeah. It's all even.
It's all we can do. Our hands are tied.
Yeah.
It was a gentleman's agreement, I think, wasn't it? It wasn't even the law. It was just they all went, no, we'll be good.
Was it a perceived safety thing?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then everyone realised, well, I mean, look at the bloody... I said this to a guy quite recently during a car cave. Nissan R35 GTR. I remember being on the launch of that car, the unveiling in Japan, and they actually stood up and said, you won't be able to tune this Skyline.
What?
The GTR R35, we've made it so it won't be tunable. And looking back now, it's like within a year of the car being on sale, people were going, 800 horsepower, easy.
Are you sure they didn't say you won't be able to stop tuning this car? Seriously, if you find one that's not been tuned, there's something wrong with it. Because Because that is pretty much the case, isn't it? You
Yeah,
cannot find those things that haven't been touched.
Yeah, like that car right now, I mean, they're going up in value finally again. To find one that's totally unmolested is really hard.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I've looked.
Yeah, I bet you've looked.
Yeah,
and it's weird because it didn't seem like that long ago that I was like borrowing one from Nissan to just drive because it was on sale. It was 58 grand, I remember.
It's just
Or 52.
finally dying because it left the UK a while ago and it's been then withdrawn from the US.
Yeah,
But they've just announced they're not taking any more orders in Japan.
yeah.
That's it. So I guess they're still making it as we speak.
That's gonna spike in value.
Yeah.
Those last cars.
It's amazing they didn't end production with a 100 years of production celebratory model, because I think that's how long it's been going now, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So it's
Yeah, they did the centenary version. They absolutely did. Yeah.
we have a question here from a listener called Alex Ogilvie. He says, hello, you pair of concert-level flautists. What's the deal with kit cars? Do you guys have favourites? Are there many still being produced? I ask because my dad started a business in the early 90s building Porsche 911 kit cars based on the all-wheel drive Ford Sierra.
What? Wow.
The idea has always fascinated me. The business didn't take off, but I did spend my childhood with a near completed 911 replica sitting in the back garden. It was awesome.
Near complete. That's
Near
so
completed.
frustrating.
Now, the great thing is that Alex has then followed up that email with a second email saying, my brackets genius level former F1 simulator engineer turned software engineer brother has turned up a picture of the surviving kit car from my dad's former business. I hope you find it interesting. And there is this picture of what looks superficially like a 911 shell.
Yeah.
In, I mean, that actually looks like it's not ruby stone, is it? But it's a purpley sort of...
Like a magenta-y.
But then one front wing is red, and it's got some sort of generic cross-poke wheels on it.
Would you have one now? I'd sort of quite fancy a Sierra-based 911 now.
Sierra-based. But I'm looking at that and I'm going, how did the Sierra engine fit under the bonnet there? Because that's a long ways engine and the 911 bonnet slopes down a lot.
Yeah.
Or did he turn the whole Sierra around?
It seems an enormous amount of work.
It really does.
So to answer your question, is the kit car world... The kit car, they still do an annual show, which is quite big.
Do they?
There's still a replica and kit car show. Of course, you've got to be careful with the terminology. You've got continuation, recreation, replica, kit, and people who make replicas don't like being called kit car people. So you have to just be careful there. I think nowadays the replica world is in a finer fettle than the kit world, because less people want to build a car from scratch.
Yeah.
People just have less attention span. You know, those days of retired men building a steam engine from absolute scratch with just hand tools and a lathe. I fear that they're probably shrinking.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do some... Maybe, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do some research for a future Smith & Sniff chat where we'll actually pick out some current hotly released kit cars that probably no one's heard of. Because
a Caterham, you can still build your own Caterham, can't you? So that's technically a...
Yeah, and I'd love to.
Component car, as I think.
Component, mate. I'd love to build a Caterham.
What's happened to Dutton?
I don't think Dutton are around. Westfield have come back, and Westfield own the Porsche Chesil.
Do they?
They own Chesil.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Westfield and Chesil, they combined and they got sold, and then that went bust, and then someone bought them and brought them back. So you can still buy a 356 Chesil, Speedster or hardtop.
Oh.
So you can buy a coupe.
They are famously rather good quality,
They
aren't
are good quality, yeah.
But I didn't know that Westfield owned them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the cool thing about those, of course, is the 356 was a flat 4 engine.
Yes.
And you can build a high-spec Beetle-based flat 4 that's sort of the same or more horsepower, and it sounds the same. So sort of is as close as you're going to get.
Yeah. I just think kit cars for me I was associated with as a kid. You'd always see a house in any given neighbourhood with a sort of slightly mangy
Unfinished.
on the drive. Yeah, slightly unfinished. Possibly no glass.
Oh,
Inadequately tarpaulin covered.
algal.
And if you looked inside, it would inevitably have a lot of wires hanging down below the dash. It's just like...
You just knew it was never going to
Never. Maybe that's it. The world doesn't have enough dreamers in it to support the kit car industry anymore. But
do you know what? There was a kit. I just remembered there was a kit car that turned up at the Ignition Cars and Coffee event that I go to. It was a Ferrari. Was it 250 California? And it looked really good.
yeah.
Went round to the back and it was something about the rear valance or something where you go, oh, come on, is that really a...
Yeah.
And then somebody said to me, it's the Z3 BMW.
Oh, yes, I've seen these.
But it was good. It was really good.
It's always the ones I've seen only pictures of. There's always some detail that lets them down, like the rear valance or the wheels somehow seem a bit off, or just something.
Because the right wheels cost you 10 grand, and you go, I'm not spending 10 grand on a kit car wheel.
Screw it, I'll just get some TSW blades, and it just doesn't quite work. So let's get some 3-spoke. Right, well, we should draw a halt to this, but thank you for your questions. If you've got something you'd like to ask us, hello@smithandsniff.com. If you put Otosot?
Yeah.
Otosot,
on the other side. On the other side of things.
Show. Otosot in the subject line. That helps us to find the questions, because we are, let's be honest, a little disorganised. We'll do this all again. In fact, we'll have questions from our Manchester live show next Friday. Until then, goodbye.
Bye, guys. Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye.